I walked into a 1970s time capsule house and immediately felt embarrassed about my modern home. 10 bizarre features that seemed completely outdated actually made me realize we've been living wrong this entire time. The weirdest one? It's now selling for $30,000 in luxury renovations. Remember when living rooms had actual personality? Back in the 1970s, homeowners weren't afraid to literally dig into their floors to create something special. Sunken living rooms, or as the cool kids called them, conversation pits, were the ultimate statement piece. These weren't just random holes in the ground. Architects carefully carved out cozy spaces that dropped down a few steps from the main floor level. Think of it like a stadium for your sofa. Everyone naturally faced each other instead of staring at the TV like zombies. The whole concept was brilliant, really. You got all the intimacy of a campfire circle without the smoke or the risk of setting your curtains ablaze. Plus, no walls meant the space still felt open and airy. It was like having your cake and eating it too, except the cake was good interior design. Here's the kicker. By 1970, over 10,000 American homes featured these architectural gems. That's a lot of people literally living the low life. But here's what made them genius. They solved the eternal party problem. You know, when everyone crowds into the kitchen while your beautiful living room sits empty, not with a conversation pit, that sunken space became a people magnet. The psychology was simple but effective. When you step down into a cozy space, something magical happens. Voices naturally get softer. People lean in closer. Suddenly, everyone's having actual conversations instead of shouting over each other like they're at a construction site. And let's be honest, wouldn't this be perfect for today's world? We're all glued to our phones, texting people in the same room. A conversation pit could be the antidote to our digital isolation. Make it the no-phone zone where real human connection happens. The best part? Modern heating systems and LED lighting could make these spaces even cozier than their 70s ancestors. But speaking of making bold statements with interiors, wait until you see what people were doing to their walls. The 70s didn't just put patterns on walls, they threw a full-blown design party, and wallpaper was the guest of honor. We're talking florals that could blind you from across the room, geometric shapes that made your eyes do gymnastics, and metallics so shiny they probably violated several aviation safety codes. Every single room told its own wild story through color and texture. Your kitchen might scream avocado green paradise, while your bathroom whispered burnt orange sunset. And somehow, it all worked together like a crazy family reunion where everyone's wearing different costumes but having the time of their lives. Here's the thing, though. People back then had serious confidence in their design choices. None of this safe beige nonsense we see everywhere today. If you wanted mustard yellow roses climbing up your dining room walls, you went for it. Your guests either loved it or learned to appreciate boldness real quick. The wild part? Hanging wallpaper back then was like performing surgery with your eyes closed. You needed paste, brushes, patience of a saint, and probably a few choice words when the seams didn't line up. One crooked strip and your geometric paradise turned into a funhouse nightmare. But here's where it gets interesting for us modern folks. Today's peel and stick wallpaper technology makes this whole retro revival almost stupidly easy. No more wrestling with gooey paste or calling your brother-in-law for help. You literally just stick it up, smooth it out, and boom, instant 70s magic. The best part about bringing back patterned wallpaper, it transforms those boring, sterile spaces that look like they belong in a dentist's office into something with actual personality. Your walls become conversation starters instead of conversation killers. Makes sense, right? In a world where everything looks the same, why not let your walls do some talking? Speaking of bringing light into these newly patterned spaces, the 70s had another brilliant trick up their architectural sleeves. The 70s weren't just about disco balls and platform shoes. Architects went absolutely bonkers trying to capture sunlight like it was made of gold. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Sun tunnels became the ultimate home upgrade. These weren't your grandma's tiny bathroom skylights that leaked every time it drizzled. We're talking about serious light harvesting technology that would make a solar panel jealous. Picture a periscope, but instead of spying on submarines, it's stealing sunshine from your roof and beaming it straight into your kitchen. The installation process was like performing surgery on your house. Contractors would cut precise holes through your roof, then snake these reflective tubes down through your attic and ceiling. The result? Natural daylight flooding rooms that had never seen the sun before. Your basement suddenly felt less like a dungeon and more like a place humans might actually want to spend time. But here's where it gets interesting. These weren't just fancy light fixtures, they were energy-saving powerhouses decades before anyone cared about carbon footprints. A single sun tunnel could eliminate the need for electric lights during daytime hours. Your electricity bill would shrink faster than polyester pants in hot water. The psychology behind this obsession makes perfect sense. After spending the 60s cooped up in windowless ranch homes, people were practically starving for natural light. Sun tunnels delivered vitamin D straight to your living room without the mosquitoes. Modern versions have gotten ridiculously sophisticated. We're talking about smart glass that adjusts to weather conditions, LED backup systems for cloudy days, and installation methods so simple your neighbor's teenager could probably figure it out. Some even come with remote controls because apparently we need to digitize sunshine now. The best part? Unlike most 70s trends, this one actually saves money while making your home feel bigger and brighter. Speaking of making spaces feel dramatically different, wait until you hear about the fireplace revolution that had everyone rearranging their furniture. Now, we're getting to the real showstopper, conversation pit fireplaces. These weren't your grandmother's corner fireplace collecting dust and family photos. The 70s took fire and said, let's make this social. Instead of pushing fireplaces against walls like wallflowers at a dance, architects dropped them right into the middle of living spaces. Brilliant, right? These sunken hearths became the absolute center of everything. You'd walk into someone's house and immediately gravitate toward this glowing focal point. It was like having a campfire, but with better snacks and no mosquitoes. But here's what made them genius. They forced people to actually face each other. Unlike today's living rooms where everyone stares at a TV mounted on the wall like it's some kind of altar, these fireplaces made conversation unavoidable. You literally had to look at other people. The design was simple but effective. Picture a circular or square fire pit, surrounded by built-in seating or plush cushions at floor level. The warmth radiated in all directions, not just toward one lucky couch. Everyone got toasty. By 1978, homes featuring these conversation pit fireplaces were winning architectural awards left and right. Designers called them social engineering through interior design. Fancy words for let's get people talking again. The safety concerns were real, though. More than a few party guests learned the hard way that bell-bottom pants and open flames don't mix well. Fire departments weren't exactly thrilled about these trendy fire pits either. Well, modern technology could fix those issues easily. Today's gas inserts, safety screens, and smart controls would make these conversation pits safer than a padded room. Plus, we could add features the 70s never dreamed of. Remote controls, programmable flames, even smartphone apps. The real magic wasn't just the fire, it was the psychology. Something about gathering around flames brings out our ancient tribal instincts. People opened up, shared stories, and actually listened to each other. Then there's another 70s feature that got just as much attention underfoot. Nothing said groovy quite like sinking your toes into thick, luxurious shag carpeting. These weren't your grandmother's Persian rugs. We're talking about carpets so fluffy they practically needed their own zip code. Walk into any 70s home and you'd find shag everywhere. Living rooms, bedrooms, even some brave souls put it in their kitchens. The deeper the pile, the cooler you were. Some of these carpets had strands so long you could lose a chihuahua in there for weeks. But here's what modern homeowners don't realize. Shag wasn't just about looking hip. Those thick fibers created incredible insulation, keeping homes warmer in winter and cooler in summer. Your heating bill would thank you, unlike your vacuum cleaner, which probably filed for divorce. The colors? Oh boy, the colors! Burnt orange, avocado green, chocolate brown, and that infamous harvest gold that somehow made everything look like a sunset threw up in your living room. Yet families loved it. Kids would do homework sprawled across these plush landscapes, and adults genuinely looked forward to kicking off their shoes after work. Now here's the kicker. A 1979 housing survey found that 40% of American homes had adopted shag carpeting. That's roughly 20 million households walking on what basically amounted to indoor lawns. The cleaning? Well, that was an adventure. Regular vacuums gave up faster than a diet on Thanksgiving. You needed special rake attachments, and finding lost items required archaeological skills. Car keys, jewelry, the occasional pet, they all disappeared into the shag dimension. Today's technology has solved those old problems. Modern synthetic fibers resist stains better than a teenager resists chores. They're hypoallergenic, easier to clean, and won't trap enough dirt to start your own farm. Some manufacturers even make antimicrobial versions that would make 70s parents weep with joy. Makes sense, right? All that comfort without the maintenance nightmares. Speaking of bringing nature indoors, 70s homeowners took that concept way beyond just carpet fibers. The 70s turned homes into miniature jungles. Seriously, if you walked into someone's living room back then, you'd think you accidentally wandered into a greenhouse that happened to have furniture. Macrame plant hangers dangled from every ceiling like botanical chandeliers. Spider plants cascaded down walls in hand-knotted rope holders that look more complex than NASA's mission plans. Your grandmother probably spent more time perfecting her macrame knots than some people spend learning to drive. But here's the thing. They were onto something huge. While we were busy killing our houseplants with kindness in recent decades, science caught up and proved what 70s folks already knew. Indoor plants don't just look good. They're basically nature's air purifiers working 24/7. Boston ferns filtered formaldehyde. Rubber trees tackled toxins. Peace lilies fought off household chemicals like tiny green superheroes. Makes sense, right? Your living room became a breathing cleaning machine disguised as home decor. The numbers were absolutely bonkers. Houseplant sales skyrocketed by 200% during the decade, creating a $600 million industry. That's serious green, both literally and financially. Then there's the mental health angle nobody talks about. Tending to plants gave people purpose. Watering, pruning, repotting, these simple tasks created daily rituals that grounded folks in an increasingly chaotic world. Your fiddle leaf fig became your therapist, minus the hourly fees. The weird part is how we abandoned this brilliant idea. Somewhere along the way, we decided plants were too much work, too messy, too complicated. But today's plant parents are proving that wrong, aren't they? Modern homes desperately need this 70s wisdom back. Not just one sad succulent on a windowsill. We're talking full-scale indoor gardens, hanging plants, floor plants, shelf plants, the whole botanical bonanza. Well, if turning your home into a living, breathing ecosystem sounds appealing, wait until you hear about another 70s feature that literally made walking through your house feel like passing through shimmering water. Walking through beaded curtains was like parting a waterfall made of tiny jewels. Every step created this gentle clicking symphony that somehow made entering a room feel like a mystical experience. Well, maybe not mystical, but definitely cooler than pushing open a regular door. These shimmering room dividers became the unofficial ambassadors of 70s Bohemian style. Homeowners hung them everywhere, between living rooms and dining areas, at bedroom entrances, even in hallways. The beauty wasn't just visual, these curtains solved a real problem. How do you separate spaces without building actual walls? Unlike solid doors that slam shut with the subtlety of a freight train, beaded curtains offer gentle privacy. You could hear conversations on the other side, see shadowy movement, but still maintain that sense of separation. Parents loved them because they could keep an eye on kids while maintaining distinct spaces. The variety was absolutely mind-boggling. Wooden beads gave off earthy, natural vibes. Plastic ones came in every color imaginable. Hot pink, electric blue, sunshine yellow. Glass beads caught light like tiny disco balls, turning ordinary doorways into glittering portals. But here's the thing that makes them brilliant for modern homes. They're the ultimate flexible solution. Need more privacy? Add another strand. Want better flow for parties? Pull them aside. They're like the Swiss Army knife of home decor. By 1972, DIY beaded curtain kits were flying off store shelves faster than platform shoes. Everyone wanted that groovy artistic touch that screamed, "I'm creative and definitely not boring." Today's minimalist homes could use this playful touch. They add texture without overwhelming clean lines. Plus, they're perfect for renters who can't knock down walls but still want to create distinct zones. The gentle sound they make when someone passes through, that's your built-in doorbell, letting you know when someone's entering your space. Makes sense, right? Speaking of built-in features that redefine comfort, wait until you hear about the bedroom revolution that had everyone literally floating on water. Waterbeds weren't just furniture, they were a full-blown cultural phenomenon that made your bedroom feel like a space-age retreat. These weren't your grandmother's saggy old mattresses that sounded like a haunted house every time you rolled over. Built-in waterbed systems turned ordinary bedrooms into something straight out of a science fiction movie. The heated water gently cradled your entire body, eliminating those annoying pressure points that left you tossing and turning like a rotisserie chicken all night. No more waking up with mysterious aches that made you feel older than dirt. Here's the kicker. By the late 70s, over 22% of all new beds sold were waterbeds. That's roughly 1 in every 4 bedrooms across America rocking these liquid loungers. Your neighbors probably thought you were living in the future. The appeal went beyond just comfort. These beds maintained a consistent temperature throughout the night, which meant no more fighting over blankets or waking up in a pudding of sweat during summer months. The gentle motion provided a soothing effect that helped people fall asleep faster than counting sheep on sedatives. But let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say the potential flood in the bedroom. Early models had their, let's call them surprise shower moments. Nothing quite woke up the household like a midnight tsunami in the master bedroom. Modern technology has solved those soggy disasters. Today's waterbed systems feature puncture-resistant materials, better heating elements, and leak-proof designs that would make a submarine engineer proud. They're more reliable than your brother-in-law's promises to help you move. The health benefits alone make waterbeds worth reconsidering. They provide better spinal alignment than traditional mattresses and can ease arthritis pain. Plus, they're naturally antimicrobial. Dust mites hate them more than cats hate bath time. Speaking of things that defined 70s homes, another feature brought nature indoors in ways that would make today's plant parents absolutely green with envy. Exposed brick walls were everywhere in 70s homes, and honestly, they were onto something brilliant. While everyone else was slapping up drywall faster than you could say subdivision, homeowners were deliberately exposing those rough, rustic brick surfaces that builders usually hid. But here's the weird part. Most of these weren't original structural walls. People were actually installing fake brick panels and thin brick veneers to get that authentic look. Talk about working backwards. It's like buying pre-ripped jeans, but for your living room. The appeal made perfect sense, though. Brick brought instant character to those cookie-cutter ranch houses that were popping up everywhere. One brick accent wall could transform a boring family room into something that looked like it belonged in a Manhattan loft. Well, if Manhattan lofts had orange shag carpeting and macrame owls. Then there's the practical side that nobody talks about. Brick walls are natural sound dampeners, something our work-from-home world desperately needs. Remember when the biggest noise problem was the neighbor's lawnmower? Now, we're all trying to muffle Zoom calls while the kids practice violin upstairs. Interior designers in '74 were calling brick the great equalizer. It paired beautifully with sleek modern furniture, but also worked with traditional pieces. Kind of like that friend who looks good in both a tuxedo and overalls. Rare, but impressive when you find it. The insulation benefits were no joke either. Those thick brick walls helped regulate temperature naturally, which meant lower energy bills. Smart move, considering gas prices were climbing faster than a teenager's phone bill. Here's what's fascinating. Brick never really went out of style in restaurants and commercial spaces. Ever notice how every pizza joint and trendy bistro still rocks exposed brick? They figured out what residential designers forgot. Modern brick technology has come a long way too. Today's options include lightweight alternatives and even brick-look tiles that give you the aesthetic without the structural headaches. Speaking of headaches, though, wait until you hear about the timepieces that dominated every 70s wall. Nothing screams 1970s sophistication quite like a sunburst clock hanging on your living room wall. These weren't just timepieces, they were conversation starters that made your guests wonder if you had impeccable taste or questionable judgment. The design was pure genius in its simplicity. Metal spokes radiated outward from a central clock face like frozen fireworks. Some versions featured colorful balls at the tips, others went for sleek minimalism. Either way, they commanded attention like a disco ball's sophisticated older brother. My neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, had one that could practically blind you when the afternoon sun hit it just right. She'd positioned it strategically so visitors would squint and shield their eyes, giving her the perfect opportunity to offer them a cocktail. Clever woman. But here's what made these clocks special. They solved the age-old problem of boring wall space. While other people hung generic landscapes or family photos, sunburst clock owners made a statement. They declared themselves forward-thinking, modern, maybe even a little rebellious. The variety was staggering. You could find brass ones that looked like miniature suns, chrome versions that screamed space age, or wooden models for folks who wanted groovy but not too groovy. Some had atomic-inspired designs that would make a nuclear physicist weep with joy. And the weird part is, they actually worked better than regular clocks. Those radiating spokes created visual lines that drew your eye straight to the time. No squinting across the room wondering if it was 3:15 or 3:20. Today's minimalist walls could desperately use this kind of personality. Sure, we've got smartphones for telling time, but when did utility become more important than style? A sunburst clock doesn't just tell you when dinner's ready. It tells your guests you're not afraid to take design risks. These magnificent timepieces turned ordinary rooms into spaces worthy of Mad Men episodes. They're proof that functional doesn't have to mean forgettable. And sometimes the best way forward is looking back at what we foolishly left behind.